There are some whores in this house.
Out in the nation, Waldorf Nation, everybody, welcome to the show. We've got, well, for one, it's Monday. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. I actually set out to do a lot of things this weekend and got absolutely none of them done. So I feel like a complete and total success. Nailed it. Nothing done. I don't know what happened. Those 2 days flew right by. And nothing got done. Sad. Baby. All right. Anyway, you know, it is what it is. I guess every once in a while you need a little R&R, a little relaxation, where you don't do things. And so I guess that's what happened. All right. So anyway, Wanderer42 says, kind of sucks we no longer going to have the funny Trump sniffing remix. I know. I got to work on something to replace it. It's like the one bad thing about Trump not being in office is no more fun sniffing noises. So, unfortunately, there's that. Okay, anyway, but a lot of other stuff did get better though. So, all right. Anyway, that said, we've got a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about today on the show, obviously. So we've got, of course, the newest QAnon conspiracy. We've got Rudy Giuliani getting sued. It's so good. Oh, it's so good. We also have Donald Trump being welcomed by Florida. Also fun. Suzanne Collins. Whoops. I accidentally pressed a button. I still have it on the soundboard, by the way. I just accidentally press buttons while I'm flailing around. This is how my day is going. Accidentally pressing buttons and not getting anything done over the weekend. It's whatever. Now, we are going to talk about Suzanne Collins, which is related to the stimulus. We also are going to talk about a plan by the Democrats that it's actually pretty good. Wow. Very, very good. So we've got positive news. Also,
dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Big, massive dumps. So, all right, anyway. If you could please like and share this stream, helps out greatly. Viewership is actually really, really important, obviously. So every time you share this video or this stream or any of my videos that I put up, that, of course, helps the channel. So much, much appreciated. Good to see people that are in the Twitch chat on Facebook and YouTube as well. So let's do it. A good plan, so what's the chance of executing it? Well, I mean, since you have, let me get into the details, Shep, later on. So let's do it. Actually, you know what? Let's see. Before I do, I want to start doing some additional stuff for the patrons, but I'm confused on what to do. I don't, since I'm not I'm not really that interesting of a person outside of politics. I'm not really sure what kind of stuff that patrons would be interested in viewing, like, you know, at all. So what I'm thinking of doing is, at least we're going to start out with every Friday. I'm going to do a thank you video. I'm going to thank 5 patrons, tell them how much I appreciate, what their support and everything like that. So yeah, just a personal shout out video on our Patreon, and I'll go from there. Maybe I'll share like a story, or I'll answer a question. That's much easier for me to do. So maybe y'all can ask me some patron questions, and I can answer. Kind of like a patron only AMA where I'll answer like a question or two every week, and I'll put out that video and upload it just for you guys. Something to do. 2 Senate Dems are holding up COVID relief. Let me guess. It is Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin, and they're refusing, of course, to get rid of the filibuster. Am I correct, Dango? This is where Jeff decides to create an OnlyFans. Only if I wanted all my viewers to go blind, which I do not. So I will not do that. All right, anyway. Patreon idea, do shout outs to your patrons with Matt. Ah, yes, with my little kitty. I got one of them. It was Cinema, wasn't it? But it wasn't Mansion. I'll have to look into that a little bit further. I know that that Cinema does not want to nuke the filibuster, which means unless we do budget reconciliation, we're not going to be able to actually really get anything done when it comes to COVID relief, not without Republican help. So, all right, anyway. Not non-sex related OnlyFans, then what's the point of OnlyFans? just messing with you. All right, anyway. And let's move on. Let's get to the stories, shall we? Top 10 list, top 10 fake political moments. Oh, see, those are great ideas. I'm gonna have to remember those. All right, that's it. Stories, politics, go. All right. It appears that even though Joe Biden is now president of the United States, he's officially taken over, and Donald Trump has left the building. He is now in Florida. Got a funny story on that one later. But even though Trump's no longer in office, his fans in QAnon haven't given up hope yet. Listen here. It appears the latest Q dumps.
Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
They say that Donald Trump, this is the way that Donald Trump could still be your president. All right, so let me get into the details here. Now, this is according to a report from Vice. The latest theory being passed around by QAnon extremists is based upon writings from members from the sovereign citizen movement. So you're familiar with the sovereign citizens. If you're not, it basically is a bunch of people who think that the laws really don't apply to me. The Constitution doesn't really apply to me. We believe in the very, very original document, and unless we're going off that original document, then none of the laws or anything, the government is illegitimate. And so, like we don't follow the law because we don't believe in it. Well, that's great. Perfectly, up Donald Trump's alley, apparently. So now they have a, quote, unique interpretation of American history. So this is from the Vice report. Sovereign citizens believe that a law enacted back in 1871 secretly turned the United States into a corporation and did away with the American government of the Founding Fathers. And so based on that, that's why somehow Joe Biden is an illegitimate president. And really, Donald Trump is still your president. Right. So we're a corporation. Did you know that the United States was a corporation? Actually, you know what? Kind of makes sense. In a weird way, but more like we're not actually a corporation, but we're ruled by corporations. That makes more sense. Because what they're saying is that, well, it's the United Corporation of America, and so since we're a corporation, we're not really the government of the founder, so therefore I don't have to follow any of the rules. Oh, okay. Insane. We're not a corporation. Turns out, we are we are still a republic. We got problems. We're not a very good functioning republic at this point, but we still have elections. Elections are fair. We have a lot of issues though with money in politics and corporations themselves. But okay, all right. There's some insanity. So there's more though. Now the group believes that that Franklin Roosevelt, right? So FDR sold U.S. citizens out in 1933, even though apparently we were already sold out back in 1871, but okay. When he ended the gold standard and replaced it by offering citizens as collateral to a group of shadowy foreign investors. Wait, what? Okay, what? What is this? Shadowy foreign investors. I bet they're not even trying to attempt to back this up with any sort of factual data because there is none. They're not even going to try to source this. They're just shadowy foreign investors. Yeah, so it turns out the United States is actually a corporation, and our people have been sold out by the president, and but it was the previous president. It was one of the better presidents. And I say one of the better presidents, even though knowing that FDR has quite a stain on his legacy. But then again, most U.S. presidents do. I would say with the exception of Jimmy Carter, even so, definitely not a perfect president. But anyway, they go back to the whole the citizens are being offered as collateral to a shadowy investor group. Well, the Bilderbergs? This is crazy pants. But of course, right? So now, QAnon groups on Gab and Telegram, which is basically the only social media they have left, the ones, that are controlled by neo-Nazis, have been sharing documents describing the 1871 Act, claiming that it proves that not only is Joe Biden an illegitimate president, according to them, but also that the real president, Donald Trump, will be sworn in on March 4th. March 4th. Why not April 1st? April Fool's Day. Because you're all fools. Now, the source for the date is the fact that 1933 was also the year that inaugurations were changed from March 4th to January 20th to shorten the lame duck period of outgoing presidents. Ah, yes. Now, QAnon followers believe that Trump will become president of the original republic, and not the corporation they believed the 1871 Act created. So now let me get into more details about this, okay? Sovereigns believe that soon after, in conjunction with the passage of the 14th Amendment, the U.S. ceased to be a constitutionally governed republic that reflected the will of the people. Well, I would say that right now it doesn't really reflect the will of the people, but not in the way that they mean it. Corporations actually, and business leaders and people with money, the moneyed interest, actually have more, support and more influence over policy than regular people, going back to the Princeton study. But anyway, they referred to as the de jure or legally rightful government. This original republic was governed under common law, or constitutional law. In the sovereign worldview, common law refers to a legal structure that is validated by the Constitution and or biblical or divine mandate. Oh, great. Now we're getting religion into this. To sovereigns, common law supersedes the illegitimate laws currently effective in the United States. Beyond this key quality of legal primacy, the exact meaning, origin, and provisions of common law vary considerably depending on the individual beliefs of the sovereigns. Shortly after the unanimous ratification of the 14th Amendment, so they're against the 14th Amendment, by the way, in 1870, sovereigns believed the government was quietly overthrown by corrupt bankers who transformed the government into a corporation and subjected the American people to an entirely new set of commercial laws. In the sovereign narrative, this new set of commercial laws usurped the Constitution and overturned protections for citizens. This corporation is often referred to as the de facto government and is seen as illegitimate. Its vehicle for this change is the 1871 law, which many sovereigns believe created a United States corporation to govern the District of Columbia under commercial code rather than common law. Subsequently, the United States Code, essentially the laws compiled at this point, extended this form of corporate rule to the entire country thanks to a provision in Title 28, 300215 A, B, and C that includes the phrase the United States means a federal corporation. Okay, wow. All right. There you go. That is some wow, that is some that's some like pretzel-y shit going on here. Wow. Wow. I'm not even sure what to say about this. Is this what it's going to be like for the next 4 years? By the way, is that what's going to happen? I mean, just imagine it's next year, it's 2022, right? And somewhere in the 8chan forums or on Gab, there's another Q dump.
Dumps.
And conservatives will be like, okay, listen up. This is how Donald Trump can win the election, okay? This is how Donald Trump can win the election. And by the way, he's actually been your president for 2 years. You didn't even know it. I mean, you didn't even know it. Look, he's already made America great again by embracing Joe Biden's agenda. Take that, libertards. What? Great A copium. That's what that is. This is the good shit. They've broken out the premium stock of copium. Okay? The desperate times call for desperate measures, apparently, and that's what this is. This is desperate. This is some very desperate stuff. You know, you can't just pick and choose the Constitution. Which parts of the Constitution? By the way, interesting choice, the 14th Amendment, equal rights. Just saying, you know, that's the one that they don't want to follow. But no, that's not how it works. But this is why, though, they're sovereign citizens. This is what makes them sovereign citizens. They don't actually believe in the laws of our country. And in doing so, they don't follow the laws, and they also, like, do violence. They employ violence to their ends. They murder police officers. And now you have QAnon, who's done their own share of violence, cozying up to them. So that's what's going on, okay? But I guess it shouldn't be a surprise, knowing these two different groups and knowing how they are eventually going to coalesce, but there it is. QAnon people aren't just living in a different reality, but they are dangerous. They are unhinged and are butting up to literal terrorists in order to try to cling to their cope and their delusions. Dangerous. Not good. Very, very bad. All right. So yeah, that's the danger. Moving on. Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani has a brand new suit. It just happens to be a lawsuit. So bad times have begun already for the former mayor of New York. Yes, he used to be America's mayor, and now he's Trump's lawyer, and he's not really good at it, and now he's being sued for an astronomical amount of money. So let me give you the details about this. On Monday, Dominion Voting Systems had filed a new lawsuit against Rudy Giuliani, alleging that he had defamed the voting software company with his lies about the election fraud. You remember, election fraud. There's so much election fraud. Turns out Donald Trump didn't actually win the election, didn't actually lose the election. Joe Biden didn't actually win the election. It was all manipulated by Dominion. Ghost of Hugo Chavez. So now the 107-page lawsuit, first reported by the New York Times, was filed in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, and it accuses Giuliani of having manufactured and disseminated false claims that Dominion voting machines threw out or changed votes for Donald Trump, to which, of course, we have no evidence. The big lie of a stolen election, of course, according to the lawsuit, deceived millions of people into believing Dominion had stolen their votes and fixed the election, and of course, it hurt their their brand. Okay, it hurt their brand. So there's that. So now, remember the part of the big lies. I mentioned the ghost of Hugo Chavez, right? Now, Hugo Chavez died back in 2013. So now, they believe, or he's been saying, Rudy has, that Chavez created the voting software, and that Dominion was a Venezuelan company. All right, and that Venezuela used it to cheat in the elections, and therefore, of course, Dominion bad, and somehow that equates to them, stealing this election, even though, again, there is no evidence of that. And of course, Biden used it, the Dominion voting system, in 24 different states because he's a secret communist or something like that. Okay, that preposterous. Craziness. No, the ghost of Hugo Chavez did not die in 2013. Actual Hugo Chavez died in 2013, and then the ghost apparently had risen to go and steal the election for Biden. I don't know. It's complete and utter insanity, okay? It's craziness. All right, so anyway. Now, Dominion, here's the facts. Dominion was not founded in Venezuela. It just wasn't, okay? It wasn't founded there to fix elections for Hugo Chavez. It was founded in 2002 in the basement of John Paulus in Toronto, Canadian, right? To help blind people vote on paper ballots. That's it. The suit later adds the headquarters for the company's United States subsidiary is in Denver. It's in Colorado. So, whoops. Oh, it turns out it's Canadian. Wait. Apparently that's even worse because Canada's a made-up land. I'm onto you. I'm onto you guys. I'm onto you, Canadian communists. I'm just saying. But no, I'm kidding, of course. But Giuliani had spread these lies all over conservative media, Newsmax, OAN, Fox News, Twitter, Facebook, just all over the place. He spread it all over, right? Just all over the place. Now, it's funny because I remember showing you a video of Fox News having to play a clip. This was a mandated clip. It was a must-run segment of somebody from, I believe, Dominion coming in and talking about how, they didn't do any of that stuff, how it's a conspiracy theory, and that, there's no evidence of that election fraud, etc. Also that they didn't get sued. But Rudy Giuliani, he didn't care. He went all in. In fact, Giuliani, according to the lawsuit, cashed in on those defamatory claims by reportedly seeking $20,000 a day from the Trump campaign, which, by the way, he is being stiffed on. Donald Trump did not pay him anymore, and hosting a podcast where he repeatedly peddled lies. And so there's that. Even after the United States Capitol had been stormed by rioters who had been deceived by Giuliani and his allies, Giuliani shirked responsibility for the consequences of his words and still repeated that big lie, according to the lawsuit. Yes, that's exactly what happened. Exactly. All right, so now Giuliani did release a statement on this. This is what's fun. He says, Dominion's defamation lawsuit for $1.3 billion will allow me to investigate their history, finances, and practices fully and completely. Okay, and you're not going to find anything. You're going to find nothing. It's fine. But anyway, okay. So now he also said, the amount being asked for is quite obviously intended to frighten people of faint heart. Yeah, well, $1.3 billion is a lot of money. It's a defamation suit. Obviously, Rudy Giuliani doesn't have that amount of money, for one, and would never pay that amount of money because it would likely go to a settlement. We know that's what's going to happen. All right. But anyway, he said, it is another act of intimidation by the hate-filled left wing. This has nothing to do with the left wing. This has nothing to do with, progressives or libs. It's not a lib company. It's a company that's generally does better was like, it doesn't really matter. It's a company. Okay, the more contracts they have, the better. But you're not going to get contracts with states if somebody's going out there lying about the things that you do and saying that, oh, your company is a ghost if Hugo Chavez. Looks really bad on your PR. And so, I mean, come on. But no, it's an act of intimidation by the hate-filled left wing to wipe out and censor the exercise of free speech, as well as the ability of lawyers to defend their clients vigorously. As such, we'll investigate a countersuit against him for violating these constitutional rights. Holy crap. They're not violating the constitutional rights of anybody. You're supposed to be a lawyer. Do you not understand how defamation lawsuits work? This isn't a free speech issue, okay? It's defamation. And by the way, you're allowed to sue for defamation and slander. Libel, slander, defamation. That's how this works. Do you not understand how this works? Do you not realize that you are in a lot of potential legal trouble? All right? I mean, like, I think that they would have a pretty good case that you've been knowingly lying about the company. You know, all they have to do is just show your numerous Fox News interviews and actually show the people the words that you've actually said. Because you said them, it's on tape, people have seen it, people have heard it. All they have to do is just be like, here, roll that beautiful bean footage. And there it is, right there. All of the stuff that you have said. And it's going to be the same way, of course, with Donald Trump's impeachment trial. All they have to do is just roll the footage that exists of Donald Trump inciting people to invade the Capitol riot based on these lies. That's all he's got to do. Nailed him. You'll nail him to the wall. Holy crap. That is, I guess, unless he could use the QAnon defense, shaman defense, right? It turns out I actually believed something that was false. But even that is going to be really spotty. I don't know if that's going to fly. I'm no legal expert. Apparently Rudy isn't either. But I still think Rudy's in a lot of trouble here. It looks real bad. And he's not the only one, by the way. So Dominion has been taking some very aggressive legal action against Trump and his allies. In fact, earlier this month, Dominion sued former Trump campaign lawyer Sidney Powell for $1.3 billion over accusations the company's machines rigged the election in favor of Joe Biden. So there's that. Dominion also sent a cease and desist letter to MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell for ordering him to preserve and retain all documents relating to Dominion and your smear campaign against the company, and it promised imminent litigation. So we'll see that happen. So boy, Dominion gonna get rich. And in December, Dominion worker filed lawsuit against several parties who pushed the, election lies, including Trump and conservative media outlets OAN and Newsmax, claiming the falsehoods led to death threats, which absolutely they did. And again, it also led to the Capitol insurrection. All those lies. All this led to that. So that's what's happening. But again, it's even worse for Giuliani because on Thursday, a national group of lawyers had filed a lengthy ethics complaint against Giuliani that alleged that he knowingly lied about the election. That would, of course, hurt his defense. If they can just show that, yes, he was knowingly lying about this, well, then you would prove defamation. And that's it. The nonpartisan group Lawyers Defending American Democracy also urged the state of New York to investigate Giuliani's actions and suspend his law license in the meantime. He's also been disbarred for practicing law in New York. But don't worry, I'm sure he can still practice in Florida. You know what? I hope Rudy Giuliani gets taken to the cleaners. I honestly do. And is left broke. Or not without any shred of influence whatsoever. He needs to be broken financially, okay? They need to, not literally, not physically, but like break his back, okay? No money, no credibility, no ability, to go and practice law anywhere because that's what he deserved. That's what he deserves. He has done so much, along with Trump, to harm American society with their absolute BS. He has tricked so many people, millions of people, that have bought into these lies. And now it turns out as a result, we've got millions of people in this country that still believe that we have an illegitimate president. Millions. And we're not even near done dealing with the fallout. We don't know what the fallout's going to be with all of this. I mean, understand that they're everywhere, okay? They're our bosses, they're our neighbors, or coworkers. And look, sometimes when you talk to them about anything else, like, they generally seem to be whatever, decent people, right? And then they start talking about this. Okay, they start talking about this. And then how, oh, yeah, well, Donald Trump, he actually won the election. But if it weren't for the Democrat pedo cabal and all of that, I mean, coming for our kids, then Donald Trump would still be president. But they stole it because thanks to Hugo Chavez. We're going to have to figure out how to deal with these people. And really, I want to drag them back to reality. I don't know how to do that. I'm going to keep continuing to, try to, give you the truth, the best that I can. Okay, the best of my ability, give you facts. That's what I'm going to try to do. Whether or not those facts get through to some people and they realize they've been duped, I mean, that's kind of up to them. I think, though, the first step maybe would be to completely discredit and embarrass their leaders and really show them for the lying grifters that they are. And hopefully that might be enough to snap a decent chunk out of them, out of that, whatever they're in believing this crazy stuff. I don't think we can. I definitely think that there are some people where you cannot shake out of this, but I don't believe that the majority of those 70 million Trump voters are going to continue buying into this. No, I think at some point it's going to get too crazy for them, and they're going to realize, like, oh, right. Turns out none of that was actually true, and I just got taken for a ride. So I wouldn't write off everybody. Not yet, anyway. I guess we'll have to see. All right. Let's do some fun. Fun before we get into more serious stuff. Hold. Okay. Need a restart on that or something. A refresh. There we go. All right. Former President Donald Trump has finally returned to his Florida golf resort, and it turns out he's not exactly being welcomed back. So let me show you some video of that. In case you couldn't read that, Trump was the worst president ever. That's funny. I love it. Because look, here's the thing. This takes effort. This is high level trolling, okay? I got respect for that. That's not like some of the low effort trolls that I see in the chat here all the time. Like, guys, step up your game. Like, the minute you fly a Jeff Sucks banner over my house, first of all, I'm going to be worried that you know where my house is. But second, a little bit of respect, because at least you did your homework. Okay, I'm like, ooh, yeah, okay. You got me there, guys. You got me there. But anyway, look, in order to make this happen, you got to either own or rent a plane or make a banner with gigantic letters plan a flight path, get it all cleared. There's a lot of stuff that went into this. Okay, to call the former president of the United States a pathetic loser. In fact, there was more. There's one more image here. Trump, you pathetic loser, go back to Moscow. Oh. Look, I got mad respect for the trolling here. It's just, I love it. I love it. All right. That said, that wasn't immediately clear, how close the planes actually did fly to Mar-a-Lago, or if the president actually saw it while sitting outside. I would like to think that he did, that he was sitting outside and seeing that go by and just going, fake news. I don't know. But I can guarantee you, though, if it does meet cable news, then he'll see it because he can't stop watching cable news. All right. But anyway, so now this is more confirmation that he's not popular, even in Florida. I mean, you would think that of all places in the United States, you'd actually be really popular in Florida. Well, not where Mar-a-Lago is. Palm Beach County actually voted for Joe Biden in the presidential election with a majority, 56-43. Although the town of Palm Beach itself did go for Donald Trump, which is understandable, because he has Mar-a-Lago there, but he's also, sort of rich. That said, the people that live there, like his neighbors, are actually threatening to sue to enforce zoning restrictions, forbidding the club to be used as Trump's legal residence, which means he's going to get, at some point, they're going to have to make the decision whether or not they want to kick out a former president for violating the agreements or just nullifying their own agreements. Interesting. So that would be hilarious to see him get kicked out of his own resort for staying there too long. But not just that, you also have Jared and Ivanka Kushner, who are being denied membership to their swanky country club on Billionaire's Bunker. So that's Indian Creek Island. All right. It turns out that, people just really not into a loser. Sad baby. So let me give you a couple tweets here. One person says, much as I love dunking on Trump, and so this goes contrary. So I'm presenting contrary viewpoints. So here's one. As much as I love dunking on Trump, if somebody is paying for this, I'd rather they donate it to a food bank or a vote expansion efforts or something. That's a good point. Fair. Totally fair point. You are correct. But also, they ask, is he seeing it? Aren't the skies over a former president protected, or is it just a current president? I believe it is a current president. I believe that planes can now fly at least a little bit closer than they could before, since he's not the president anymore, even though he still, of course, has Secret Service protection. But again, even though she's right about that and brings up some good points, that's still just freaking funny. Just let me enjoy this, okay? Just let us enjoy this. But anyway, one more here. Actually, a couple more. It's one of the great ironies of Trump. He would never want to live somewhere that they actually like him. Oh, that's interesting. He longs to be accepted among the liberal elite. He so often disdains and he loathes people who are his fans. So I've said this before. Yes, Donald Trump wants nothing more to be loved and accepted. But hey, understand that that's also human nature. Okay, I get that. But here's the thing about Trump. He only wants that from rich people. Especially the richer they are in comparison to him, the more he looks up to them. Because to him, wealth is basically everything, right? Everyone else to him, if you're not as rich as Donald Trump, is a loser, is a mark, is somebody that he can take advantage of for his own personal gain. He wants to be part of that club. But because he's such a joke, a laughingstock, carnival barker, he'll never be part of that club. He's just not allowed in. And they've always, the Trump family has always wanted into that club. and they've never allowed him in. And now that he's even more toxic than before, there's no way they're getting in that club. So he will never, in the way that he wants, ever truly be a member of the elite. He will just be hated and sad for the rest of his life. And let me bet that that the person who is flying this over, his house, is one of the wealthy neighbors that funded this. You know it. It's got to be. That's my guess. So it's even more sad that his neighbors are like, nope, don't want you here, loser, go back to Russia. But hey, I don't feel bad about this. I actually feel great about this because he's a terrible person. Again, remember, anytime you want to feel sympathy for this guy, remember that over 400,000 people died under his watch as a result of COVID. He could have done something about this, all right? Not only that, but he encouraged people to overthrow our democracy. He did untold harm to this country, and now we are left with 1 million fires to put out before we can even get to doing things for the American people. So screw this guy. Fuck Trump. He deserves what he gets. And if he gets kicked out of his house or Mar-a-Lago for staying there for too long, I'm going to watch while eating popcorn. Sorry, not sorry. All right. All right. Don't worry. I'll get to the super chats in a little bit. All right. I know there's some that you want me to read. Also, the stuff that's going on here on Twitch, by the way. Let me get to that. After Suzanne Collins and child poverty. Very important. Republican Senator Suzanne Collins thinks the $1,400 stimulus checks that are part of the next upcoming relief package are missing something important. Now, it's not the $600 that we were promised if Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff won their elections in Georgia. No. Joe, where's our $2,000? But no, she thinks that it's actually missing means testing. Yes, good old means testing. She thinks it's not targeted enough. In fact, this happened during the call with Biden administration officials on Sunday. She said that the $1,400 in direct relief payments the president had proposed are not sufficiently targeted. Politico also reported late on Sunday that Collins, quote, pressed the Biden officials on why families making $300,000 would be eligible for direct payments under Biden's $1.9 trillion relief plan and urged to focus on lower income workers. So that right there is a bit of a misnomer. Okay, so the way that she sounds it, she makes it sound like, oh my God, families making $300,000 or more are going to get $1,400. Oh my God, that's not good. But wait, no. If Biden models this direct payment plan after the Cash Act, only individuals with incomes of $75,000 or less, or couples with a combined annual income of $150,000 would receive the full $1,400 check. The payments would begin phasing out for those with incomes above those thresholds. Under the Cash Act, married couples with a combined annual income of $300,000 and 2 or more children would be eligible for a little bit of money, but not the full amount. So here's the thing. This might be a controversial opinion, okay? I'm fine if they get money. Oh my God, I'm fine if rich people get $1,400. Why? Well, it's not going to impact them all that much. And I'm okay. I'm also okay, and it always irritates me when Republicans especially make the disingenuous argument that we need means testing, okay? And corporate Democrats do it too. I'm okay if, for example, rich people go to a public college for free. Are they going to do that? No. Very unlikely. But if they want to, why not? Okay? And you think, but wait a minute, why are we paying for rich people to go to college? Well, here's the thing. Rich people can just pay more in taxes to balance that out, to cancel that out. Not only should they pay more in taxes than they do now, to not only cover themselves, but also to cover many, many more people. The whole plan is to get them to pay enough taxes, their fair share, that it actually takes care of the tuitions of many, many people, or in this case, the checks of many, many people, okay? That's why making things universal is actually really good. You can tax rich people in order to balance that out so that they're not getting freebies, okay? But see, here's the thing. The real problem that Republicans have with universal programs is that they're tough to get rid of. They're harder to get rid of than these means-tested, targeted programs. So, and the reason is because it's harder to divide people on universal programs, okay? It also, by the way, universal programs give you the ability to push for tax increases on the rich. Since they, of course, benefit from it, but don't actually need it, you can make the argument that they could just pay more in taxes to make up for it while still keeping the program universal. It also helps, by the way, if upper income people, say people making over $300,000 and they live in California, in New York, wherever, and they happen to fall on tough times. That happens. Middle class people, business owners, small business owners, restaurateurs, they've been going through a really hard time with the coronavirus, okay? And so if you make it universal and not base it on, for example, last year's taxes or 2019's taxes, which, you know, all these, the Cash Act and all that stuff is based on, yeah, you could have made $300,000 last year, or I'm sorry, back in 2019, but then in 2020 with the pandemic, you lost your business folded, and you don't have that income anymore. And now you're back to making, you know, $30,000 as a cashier or something, then yeah, you need that money, but you're not going to get it because of these means testing, because of all that. All right, so there you go. All right, so that's a good argument for making things universal and to stop with the ridiculous targeting. Okay, it's also, by the way, easier to manage a program like this if it is universal. And in the case of the checks, you know, time is of the essence. These people need money right now. You can just get the checks out faster if you don't have to go through and figure out who's eligible and whatnot, and all that, okay? So if you just send everybody a check, it just gets there faster. All right. Now, another point, too, that you can make, as I said, that tax, right? If you made good money in 2019 and you know, and you lost your job, and I'm sorry, I misspoke when I said 30,000 for a cat. Yeah, it's more like $18,000 a year, and in fact, 44% of Americans make about that per year. So if you went from making $200,000 a year to making $18,000 a year, or 36 with your family or your spouse has to work or whatever, just to make ends meet, well then you're going to need that check. You're going to need a lot of help. And so that's why, of course, we have to do that universal approach. Now, to contrast this, right, her call to try to target this and not make it universal, we're going to talk about something else that Suzanne Collins absolutely had no problems with passing, and that was Trump's tax cuts. When you compare that, I mean, the difference is stark. In fact, according to an analysis by the Tax Policy Center, less than 1% of the benefits of the Cash Act would have gone to the top 5% of the income distribution. So that's why she's worried. She's worried about the 1%, right? Well, that's completely on brand for Suzanne Collins because, of course, the 52% of the benefits of the $1.5 trillion tax bill that Collins voted for back in 2017 went to the top 5% in 2020. So there you go. Weird. New York Times columnist Jamil Bowie tweeted this about that. Weird that Susan Collins didn't care so much about the rich people getting more than they need issue, when it was massive upper income tax cuts on the table. Of course. Yeah, well, obviously. We know what she's about. She's about giving more money to the rich. She's always been about giving more money to the rich. All right. Another criticism comes from Ashley Shaptel, a spokesman for Senator Juan Wyden. She noted that Senate Republicans' tax bill showered billions of dollars on actual billionaires, as opposed to a very, very tiny amount of this, universal whatever, or I'm sorry, of this stimulus bill, this $1,400, would go to wealthy people, even if it were not targeted at all. Notice, though, by the way, that any program that is meant to help regular people has to be means tested when it comes to these Republicans. And anything to help the rich, though, is given out very, very freely with abandon. But again, that's the point, right? To prevent these programs from actually becoming universal, like, for example, healthcare, like education, like a UBI. They have to make sure to get it as narrow a slice of Americans as they can, so it can never become a rallying cry among most Americans, and actually ends up pitting two different lower, middle class versus poor versus working class, whatever, against each other because one benefits and the other doesn't. And so that helps it to prevent it from becoming popular, and it makes it easier for politicians to, of course, shut it down. And that's the reality. That's what they want. We need actually way more than this package. We need, what we need is universal UBI, retroactive to the start of the pandemic, $2,000 a month. We need to, we need healthcare. We need Medicare for all. We need to cancel rents and mortgages. We need a massive package. And so, unfortunately, and I said massive package. So of course,
masturbate all day long.
All right, now that you got it out of your system, or I got it out of mine, let's get back to the reality, right? This is not enough. We need more, and economists are saying more. In fact, 1.9 trillion is well below what experts are saying is necessary to reverse what is going on with the economy right now. We need more. Back in December, Collins supported the $2,000 stimulus. It really shows you where Collins is at. She is absolutely a Republican, of course, right? She's not a moderate. She's not in the middle. No, she's going to do whatever helps her and her party. And so that doesn't mean helping the American people at this point. But look, we need to do something now. Further targeting and means testing is going to waste a lot of time and water down any positive effect that any relief bill would actually have on the economy. But again, that's kind of the point. Because as I mentioned, Collins is a Republican, and Republicans right now have a vested interest in letting the economy tank because it will help them get elections in 2022. Well, I think what we need to do is we need to forget about Republicans who are not on board and do budget reconciliation. Cut them out. Do some legislating already, and don't try to court votes from the We Hate Legislation party. Okay? The anti-government, we want to break things party. That's what Republicans are. They're political nihilists. And that's what it is. Budget reconciliation, let's do it already. Let's do it. And so Bernie Sanders is budget, he's the chairman of the Senate Budget Committee. Let's go. He's on cable news saying, send me a reconciliation package. Let's do it. Let's forget Republicans. And let's get something done for the American people. Now, of course, there could be a problem with that, too. Joe Manchin. Not all Democrats are good either. Now, Joe Manchin, for example, came out against the checks, but then backpedaled when he got pushback. So he can respond to pressure. And we need to be ready to push back against any Democrat who wants to stop the checks from going out without proper means testing. Because right now, the American people really need this relief. They can't wait for people like Suzanne Collins, to be happy. Let's get it done. Budget reconciliation, go. All right. God damn it. I'm still having a hard time getting to this story in time. So I don't think I'm going to be able to do that today. Don't worry. That's going to be the first story tomorrow, okay? The other piece of possible good news. Holy crap, there's already a Bernie emoji? Holy crap, that's awesome. Over on Twitch. That is amazing. Bernie with the mittens. What? That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, I'm sorry, I just had to say something about that. That's awesome. Shy hot dog and crazy Hawaiian and PA. That's awesome. Story seems to be really important. It'll be important. Like I will cover this tomorrow. First thing tomorrow. It is good news. It is a plan that could do a lot of good. Along with the stimulus. It's actually something that Biden might get credit for, and so it is important that we share it. All right. That's awesome. All right, if you could, please like and share the stream if you haven't already. I'm going to go through and read some of these super chats here. There's quite a few from Dango Bangle that says, oh boy, we're getting into the Jimmy Dore stuff. That is not something that I want to be involved in. Let me tell you what. Because here's okay. Let me read the super chats and I'll respond to them. Okay. Jimmy Dore needs to be eaten off social media. I actually don't necessarily agree with that. Simply because I don't necessarily agree with social media bans in a lot of cases. In some cases, it's really important, so I would have to look at maybe your argument about that. And then the Virgil and Brianna Joy Gray debate with Sam Cedar was awful. It's supposed to sound harmful. People like BJ and Virgil need to be deplatformed. I don't necessarily agree with that. They definitely disagreed. I watched that debate. Again, I thought that both sides brought up some good points. I think it got bogged down. The whole discussion over force to vote just got bogged down with personalities. As a tactic, I generally think that, it's a valid tactic. No, you don't do well if you go and alienate and attack your allies. In this, yes, you should hold your politician accountable. Yes, the whole FTV thing was only about, from what I can understand, trying to push people to herd them over to a third party. I think that third parties and progressives in the Democratic Party should be working together. That's what I mean. I've always been an advocate of inside-outside power, right? So you get people on the inside that are progressives to change the system from the inside, and you get people on the outside, whether it be Green Party, People's Party, whatever, from the outside to push that pressure. But this involves them actually working together. The thing that I have a problem with the People's Party is that they don't want to work together in order to enact that strategy. What they're trying to do is to try to peel people away from the Democratic Party, by saying that the Democratic Party is nothing but frauds and et cetera, blah blah blah. And it's just like, okay, well, you're not really helping the situation. It's not conducive to a strategy. So I'm not, I just don't other than the aim of trying to grow the People's Party, I just don't see what the whole point is. Okay, so you get some disaffected Democrats, and then what? You don't have any institutional power. You still have a system that is massively hostile to third parties in general. That's why you have to have people inside the Democratic Party in order to change the system from within to make third parties more conducive. So, I mean, was Sam's point only, yes, it was because he didn't want to be tied to somebody like Jimmy. And I see that. But I'm not interested. This is why I'm not interested in having the discussion about Jimmy Dore. Okay, I don't care about Jimmy Dore at this point. Like, and the reason I say that is I care about policy. I care about how can we get Medicare for all? How can we get closer to Medicare for all? That's what I'm concerned with. It's about policy. Okay, it's always about policy. Inside outside's field tactic, when the inside can shut you out, and the outside can only squabble about what to do next. And that's the situation that well, that second part, you're absolutely right, because that's what's happening right now. They're only squabbling about what to do next. The inside, no, I don't believe it has shut you out. I disagree with having progressives in the Democratic Party enables change. And Tia, there is no other way of changing the system unless you have people inside the system to change the system. I mean, the only other way to do anything like that would be like violent revolution. And you know me, I'm a pacifist, so I'm not going to really endorse that. So, yeah. Want Medicare for all, move to Canada. At this point, anyway, I like I said, this is why I don't want to get into it. Again, all I'm interested in is how can we move forward on policy. I don't really care about personalities, guys. It's unimportant. I don't think Jimmy Dore is somebody that I really want to talk to, or really Sam. Like, I don't really care about the personalities here. And so that's what it is. Let's talk about policy, please. And let's stick to it. Eyes on the ball. Let's do it. All right. Anyway. Exiled from New York City and Florida, Moscow, and next top comrades, Starch Tech. Adrian Benefield says, and even though some rich people suck, they're still Americans. Let them get everyone else gets. If they want different, they can afford it. True. ETA on Alice Jones soundboard, please. Working on it. Very slow. Let's see. Choking out the system, boycotts. Well, yeah, obviously, like, another thing, I'm in support of direct action, yes. But what we need to get direct action is we need organization, okay? Organizing work needs to be done at the fundamental, at the local level, local, state level, building up to an organic movement. You know who usually drove those? Unions. We need union power back in this country in order to stage something that is successful, like a general strike. And until we can do that, until we have that union power or some way to organize around each other in order to make something like that happen, we don't really have a whole lot of options. Democrats don't work with labor anymore. Nobody works with labor anymore, really. Labor's kind of twisting in the wind. We need a general strike. We do, yes, and we need to figure out how to do that. I don't know that you can separate the two, personality and policy. I can. Again, I worry only about the policy. So I think I'm different than Sam in that regard. As I said, yes, forced vote can be an effective policy. And I actually also considered what David Sirota, his ideas for like removing Chairman Richard Neal, which unfortunately didn't work, or committee assignments, which unfortunately didn't work. And again, and we don't really know what happened behind the scenes, what the negotiations were like, and whether or not Pelosi had been, like met with demands, and she just simply told AOC and the rest to F off, and all that stuff. So, all that stuff. So when we're all, no, not at all, Joe. Like that's putting words in my mouth, isn't it? Seems a little unfair. No, it's so when we actually organize and yes, organizing does take time. It's not an instant thing, but I'm not seeing any sort of suggestion that what we're doing right now, what anybody is doing right now, is actually going to lead us towards getting anywhere closer to our goal. So the Democrats aren't willing to work with progressives or leftists. They've shown that time and time again. Well, look, so for that, I go to what Kyle talks about. Now, Kyle has legitimate criticisms of AOC and the squad, right? And so he says, look, we did elect them to do a hostile takeover of the Democratic Party. He would like to see more hostility. That I definitely have some sympathy for sure, for that viewpoint. So I could say, yeah, let's see a little bit more hostility. And do a little bit more hostile takeover of the Democratic Party. And I think that is a fair criticism. But that's just me. All right, anyway. Economic pressure. Hey, look, I can definitely agree that economic pressure is incredibly important. And so there's that. All right, anyway. So I'm going to head out, okay? And so please like and share the stream if you haven't already. But, you know, share the clips, all that wonderful stuff. Really, it goes to help us. All those great things. And we will see you tomorrow. I promise we're going to do the story about the direct cash to families, which is good. Moderate Democrats are massive obstacles. Primary them. Yes, let's do that. Let's do that. Absolutely. And so, yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you. Love you guys. And remember, change begins with you. Love you guys. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Wet ass keyword.
I have not loved this conversation. Amazing. Tighten up my knee.
Masturbate all day long.
Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.